Hi again then guys, and welcome to the first of a couple of spicy news pieces dropping on the channel today, and this one definitely means the most to me personally, because it's about Test Drive Unlimited 3. Now for those who don't know, and I think most of you on the channel probably do, I love Test Drive Unlimited, especially the first game. It was a very, very important game for me. The second one I still liked, didn't love it though, but in Game vs. Real, the series here on the channel, Test Drive Unlimited 2 actually did very well. It compares very well to real life against my real car. Now though, we have probably our most tangible news yet, or at least potential news, and it certainly looks that way, as far as Test Drive Unlimited 3 and getting our first official look at it. And it comes from a company called Nacon. Now Nacon was formerly Big Ben Interactive, and working alongside Kiloton Racing, they seem to be the ones developing Test Drive Unlimited 3. They've also developed some other racing games such as WRC8, and interestingly, according to some of the leaks that happened about 6 months ago, and of course this side of things is much more up in the air, that leak claimed that TDU3 was going to use a WRC physics engine. Now, if that does turn out to be true, I think that would be a great choice, because the previous two games, although the second one squared up pretty well against real life, that was just with the Touareg V10. Most of the other cars in the game don't feel that realistic, and the first game certainly doesn't. It has a very unique handling style, but I still loved it. However, going for something like a WRC physics engine I think is a great choice. It's not as challenging as something like a full simcade game, but it has that kind of tail-happy, more playful style that rally games are known for, which will definitely cover the bases for a more arcade-style experience, which is what Test Drive Unlimited typically goes for. Now with that being said, this specific nugget, a visual nugget of information that we have, comes from Nacon's YouTube channel. They released a 14-second video, which you could see at the start of this video, announcing in a very brief visual form some of the games that they're going to be talking about next week. They're holding a virtual expo of some of their outcoming games, forthcoming games, next Tuesday, on the 7th of this month. So of course we will revisit this topic then to see if that did turn out to be true. I'm assuming that's a live stream, but it might not be. I'm very keen to see what happens though, because in that 14-second video, if you pause it, you can clearly see this image. A very Test Drive Unlimited-esque image. Now, of course, the Test Drive Unlimited logo is not expressly on the screen, so there is potential that it could be something else, but it seems highly likely given that these are the guys involved in making the game. Plus, it has a very Test Drive look to it, kind of black and white, which is not an uncommon thing for a Test Drive Unlimited trailer. You can clearly see a couple of supercars in there. I have theories on what I think those two cars are. The one in the distance that's kind of blurry, I initially thought was a Rimac Concept 2. Actually, when you look at the details, it's pretty obviously a Koenigsegg Regera, for a number of reasons, including the shape of the lights, the lack of a grille with that sloping down nose, of course the shape of the cabin itself, those small stalk-like wing mirrors, and one of the telltale signs, which is, you can see through the blurriness that it has one upright windshield wiper, which is also exactly what the Regera has. So I think it's safe to say Koenigsegg will be in the game. Even if this isn't a Test Drive Unlimited game, that is clearly a Koenigsegg. And as far as the car that's closer, and you can actually see a high-heeled shoe stepping out of the car in the video just for a split second, indicating that the car is actually facing towards the Koenigsegg, kind of like a head-to-head showdown. Now that, combined with a couple of other visual cues, such as that fairly distinctive snowflake wheel design, and also, and this is a more subtle cue, the high-profile tyres, which is unusual for a supercar. Most supercars have very large rims and small tyres. There is one particular hypercar, though, that does have very high tyre profiles for a number of reasons. The Veyron. A Veyron with snowflake tyres facing down with a Koenigsegg Regera, well, to me that makes me think it's probably a Veyron Supersport. Now, it could be wrong, but we'll have to wait and see. And if the rumours are to be believed, and hopefully we'll see some confirmation or denial of this either way next Tuesday, the rumour is that TDU3 might be set in South America with more houses in that game than the first and second game put together. Still with a massive online experience, updates to the multiplayer, more so than the single-player game. And of course, that's nothing new for Test Drive. They always put more effort into the online stuff. In fact, you could say they were one of the pioneers of doing that, actually. And incidentally, based on the current timeline of gaming and development, it's probably likely, I would say almost definite in fact, that TDU3 would come out on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. Now in the past, Test Drive has also done a PC version. That remains to be seen, but they would certainly cover the bases for both Xbox and PlayStation as they have before. In fact, one of the strongest things about Test Drive is that it appeals to both audiences, unlike Project Gotham, unlike Gran Turismo, and unlike Forza. So I'm certainly keen to see this, and it's going to be potentially a very interesting time, almost like a resurgence of the 2000s in some ways when the PS5 and the Xbox come out, and you've got options like whatever the forthcoming Forza game will be, Gran Turismo 7, Project Cars 3, Test Drive Unlimited 3. It's a pretty interesting time for gaming, and I'm really looking forward to it. The only thing that worries me is how on earth I'm going to have enough time to play GT7 and Test Drive Unlimited 3, and cover them both on the channel as well as everything else. But overall, that's it for this news piece. Tell me down below what your thoughts on this are, both the more leaked stuff from 6 months ago and now this far more tangible stuff. Are you excited? Are you an existing Test Drive Unlimited 1 or 2 fan? I certainly am, as I said. Tell me down below, and of course stick around on the channel for more news next week. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.